Motivator time. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, apart from the bugs flying around in my kitchen, I'm going to teach you how to make a marinara sauce from tomatoes. I'm doing this tonight because, you know, here at the end of the year, I still have some tomatoes hanging around from the garden. I made some sauce fresh from tomatoes and I liked it so much that I just keep thinking about it. And therefore, I wanted to scale it up somewhat and also show you how to make that sauce from tomatoes. Here I have a shitload of tomatoes. Some of them are from my garden, most of them are not. These are just Romas from the store. Part of why I'm doing this is that I got a food mill, an old-fashioned food mill. It's a manual tool that can be used to make some cool things. And what you can see is that there's different plates that you can use. Essentially, the mill pushes the food through this this plate, and when you're working with tomatoes, what that does is it removes the skin and the seeds. That's how it works. And as a result, you're left with a puree. Texturally, it makes a very, very nice sauce. I don't think that there's a good substitute for this. So I wanted to show you how to use a food mill. I wanted to make this sauce because I keep thinking about that marinara sauce. And yeah. All right, so I'm gonna start working on my tomatoes. And one of the big advantages of this method is traditionally, if you're gonna make a sauce and you don't have a food mill, you have to blanch all of the tomatoes, peel all the skins, and then cook them down. That is a huge pain in the ass. Like a viewer, if you're watching this and you're thinking about times you had to peel tomatoes, you're like, oh man, that was not a good time. This is a way where you don't have to do it. You can essentially do very minimal treatment to the tomatoes. So if you're using homegrown tomatoes and there's any blemishes, just lop off the blemishes. Look at that beautiful tomato. That is gorgeous. Basically cut off anything that doesn't look good, but you don't have to like core it. You don't have to do anything too crazy. Chop your tomatoes very roughly. In addition to the homegrown ones, I bought a shitload of Roma tomatoes. And Roma tomatoes are traditionally known as a paste tomato, or you might even call them a sauce tomato. They're good for making sauces. I am using really a lot. I was kind of eyeballing how many tomatoes I would need. It's about 6.5 pounds of Romas, and then I probably had another pound of homegrown. I'm basically gonna fill up my pot. Some recipes I saw say cover this with water and then like simmer it for a while. But like tomatoes are mostly water, so I'm kind of just thinking like, what if we just put the lid on it and let them cook for a bit? So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I got my giant pot of tomatoes. I'm gonna turn that heat up. I'm gonna add some salt now. In an ideal world, you'd toss this around, but I ain't got time for that. Actually, I do have time for that. I don't have the energy for that. I just don't give a shit. So we'll pop a lid on there, and basically what I'm hoping will happen is that the steam a la the juice of the tomato will be released from the tomato, turn into steam, and thus cook these tomatoes down a little bit in their own juices. That way, we don't introduce additional liquid. And the reason that I'm trying to take that route is that one of the goals with tomato sauce is to remove the liquid. So I think it will help by not adding water, but we'll see. While that's going, we can start to prep some other things. So one of the things we'll need is garlic. For now, I'm just gonna get some cloves of garlic ready to go. So I'll be peeling garlic for a while. How many garlics? That's hard to say. I'm just gonna start peeling until I have a pile because we are making quite a bit of sauce. And then after I peel some garlic, I'm gonna pop outside and clip some herbs that we'll use to flavor the sauce. Okay, I just picked some herbs from my garden. I did it in the dark. I kind of was like, oh, I hope that's the herb. And it was. So this is thyme, and then I got some oregano, I got some parsley. And you may be looking at that and saying, where's the basil? Well, we don't grow basil in this house because we don't really like it all that much. So I do have some basil. I am probably not gonna put it in the sauce. I may garnish with it, but it's not a flavor I like as much as some of the other herbs. So I might put like 1 leaf in the sauce. We'll see. I felt compelled to buy it, but not to use it. Okay, we're making some progress here. Look at this liquid. Look how much liquid has come out so far. That's insane. It's crazy. Why the hell would you add water? Again, I was looking at different recipes and stuff, and one of them was like, cook the tomatoes until they dump their water. And that's exactly what's happening here. I'm gonna try to push the other tomatoes down into the liquid. And look at that. We didn't have to add any additional water. So we'll give that another couple minutes. And we'll keep working on things. So one of the things, we're making some pretty bougie pasta tonight. One thing we'll do is we'll finish with some grated Parmigiano Reggiano. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get that prepped with my microplane. So I'm just gonna make a big pile of that. So I'll just be here grating Parmesan for a while. Okay, so the tomatoes are soft now. And what we're gonna do is transfer these into our food mill. Basically, I'm gonna do this a little bit at a time. You know, in an ideal world, you'd let it cool. But of course, PGC does not exist in an ideal world. We live in the real world. So you basically just do this. And what you'll see is that the mash continues to get ground down and there'll be some nice puree coming through. And that's what we want to cook down into our sauce. But look at all this stuff here. It's all skins and seeds. But in our item below, no seeds, no skin. And we'll show you what we're left with at the end. Here I go milling. All right, we've made good progress, but my tomato waste is now at a point where it's starting to interfere with my continued work. I don't have an intended purpose for these, but I kind of feel bad just throwing them out, so I'm gonna throw them in this Tupperware and then do some research if there's anything I can do with them. And then I'll probably just throw them out. And I will continue milling away. Everything's going just fine so far. Okay, so we made it through our tomatoes, and what we were left with was this beautiful bowl of tomato juice. It's actually puree. I did my best to rinse out. Oh, I didn't do my best. I did my least to rinse out this pot so that we didn't have like, you know, too much tomato schmutz hanging out. And I just put in a big glug of olive oil, which we're gonna heat up a little bit. And what I'm hoping happens is that when we throw things in there, it sizzles a little bit in the oil. So I think that will taste nice. So what I'm gonna do now is start to grate my garlic. And I'm gonna use a preposterous amount of this garlic. I think I peeled two small heads of garlic from my garden, but I kind of think there can't be too much, you know? That's kind of what I think. So I'll be grating this for the next time. Also, something that I personally like is, again, a home style thing. When I get to the end of a garlic on a grater, and there's like a little bit of that, I just throw that in too. And actually, just since I'm trying to do that, and I got this heated up, I'm gonna throw that small little bit of garlic in, just to open up the garlic flavor for a quick second. And then I'm gonna pour in my puree. Okay? Again, we used about 7-8 pounds of tomatoes, and this is our unreduced amount of sauce. So this is, we have not even cooked this down, and you can already see it's not that much sauce. So we're gonna bring this up to heat, and then we'll add things to flavor it as we cook it down. And as it cooks down over time, it'll thicken up and it'll become a wonderful sauce. So at this point, it is a-okay in my book to just go ahead and add your herbs. So this is parsley, thyme, and oregano. We're using those for flavors. And just so nobody crucifies me, I'll add a little basil. I'll do it this time. Personally, if I was just making this for myself and not for you, YouTube, I would probably just not add it at all. The last one that I made, I did not add any basil, and it tasted fantastic. Okay? In addition to that, we will add some salt. We will be salting this periodically as we go through, but I know it needs like a baseline level of salt, and I'm sure that amount that I put in is just fine. And we'll get this cooking. We're gonna fish out the herbs later, but for now they'll just be flavoring. And I have this much garlic so far. I'm definitely gonna add more, but the grated garlic will just kind of slip right into the sauce. It'll be very nice. Another thing we will add, and this is very common, I think this tastes awesome with a little bit of balsamic vinegar. What would be more traditional for marinara sauce would be some red wine, or even red wine vinegar would be fine. But I really like the complexity that a very good quality balsamic vinegar adds. And it's just a dash. It's like one of those, and that's plenty. Other things you can add some bay leaves. I'm gonna see if I have some. Oh, nope, I got some. But yeah, this is our sauce. It's very thin right now. We're gonna cook it down. It's gonna be really good. It already smells really f***ing good. So I'm gonna grate some more garlic. I'm gonna get that in. How much I ultimately end up using is probably gonna be a trade secret. You might not find out, guys. Too bad. We'll be back with more information on what to do next. This is my grating pose. I don't know if you caught that.
What's the name of the pose?
Garlic grating. Okay, so we're working on reducing our sauce. And the goal is to reduce it by about half. You could continually reduce the sauce until it thickens up into the marinara sauce of your dreams. But in our case, we don't have time for that. So I am pulling out the herbs as best I can. And we are going to add tomato paste. That is specifically to thicken our marinara sauce more quickly than it would otherwise. So I am actually going to add the whole can of tomato paste in hopes that I get a thicker sauce faster. This is cheap ass tomato paste. I probably could have used nicer stuff. This was back when Lucky's Market had a house brand. That's how you know it's real fresh, because they don't anymore. Okay, so let's see what that did to our sauce. We gotta mix it in, incorporate it. So it'll take a little bit of time for it to disperse. But you can see it made the sauce redder. But already, what I'll tell you is just the addition of that paste has seriously increased the viscosity of this sauce, which leads me to believe that we are nearing the completion of it. And of course, you can cook sauce all day. You know, tomato sauce is one of the things where it does taste really good the longer you cook it, but you know, it's a Tuesday night. So, but let me show you this viscosity after that's come through. We had a pretty liquid wet sauce, and now we have something that is closer. You can see I had a big chunk of paste in there. Closer to our desired goal. And certainly throughout you can taste it to see where it's at. I think it needs a little bit more salt, but not too much more salt. Depending on your tomatoes, you can add sugar. Sugar is a frequent addition to kind of cut some of the acidity. I don't think this needs it. So I think we'll skip it today. But we're getting close. So we'll let this sauce keep cooking, and it'll be dinner time soon. All right, I'm very happy with my sauce. We ended up cooking that about an hour, I'd say. Here's what it looks like in a spoon. Absolutely wonderful flavor, and I don't feel like it needs tweaking, but you could of course adjust the seasoning at this point. But I'm very happy with that. We are eating bougie tonight, I did tell you that. So we have some fresh pasta. This is egg spaghetti, which I am going to cook in this boiling water, but it cooks super fast. It really only takes, you know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And we'll round out this by just plating it up. If you wanted, one thing you could do is you could grab some of the starchy water from the pasta and put a little bit in the sauce. It helps it coat the noodles. But yeah, we're almost there. Just gotta finish cooking my pasta. It's crazy how fast it cooks. I am gonna go ahead and grab just a tiny bit of starch water, throw it in our sauce, just in hopes that does something. I don't think it'll actually do much of anything, but that's okay. So we can take our pasta and go ahead and strain it. Whatever works is fine. And the best thing that you could do, like the absolute best way to do pasta, would be to actually finish this in a pan, to undercook it and finish it cooking in the sauce. But we're not gonna do that today. Instead, we'll plate it just like normal people do. So we'll grab some pasta. It looks like a nice amount to me. And we'll get our wonderful sauce that we worked so hard on, pouring it over the top. And certainly, if you wanted to, you could swirl this around to coat the noodles, but I think I will leave that to the diner tonight. And we'll top that with some fresh Parmesan cheese, which is oh so fluffy. And even though I don't like it that much, the tiniest chiffonade of basil. And I did not put any black pepper into the dish itself, so I will top it with some at the end. And that is our fresh pasta with fresh marinara. Very excited for that. All right, now that we've taken our fancy pictures and stuff, we can mix up our pasta, which looks great to me. And let's give it a try. Let's give it a taste. It is fantastic. This is so freaking good. This is like the best iteration of spaghetti and marinara. So, in conclusion, that's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I really did, and I cannot wait or wait to eat or ate this dish. That's how you do it. Here's the fatty. Look at that fatty. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.